Good morning, blessed greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Your Daily Manna on the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. It is Thursday, March 28th. One more day to my birthday. God willing, tomorrow I'll be celebrating a birthday. So I'm excited. I pray that God will allow me to see another year of life. And, there's still work to do. He still has work for me to do, and I want to be able to carry out whatever he has for me to do. But in the meantime, we're together once again for another edition of Your Daily Manna on this Thursday. And I apologize, we were not together yesterday for the Wednesday's edition. But I'll be honest with you, I was not feeling up to par. Even as I speak to you right now, I feel a headache coming on. I feel a sore throat coming on, and I hope that cold that I had a few weeks ago is not coming back. I don't know where you're listening from, but here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, this weather has been up and down, in and out. It's been raining and things like that. It's been warm, it's been chilly. So yeah, I just wanted to, get this word out to you today before things get worse. I pray that it doesn't get any worse, so I can enjoy my birthday tomorrow and enjoy the weekend that's coming up. So let's continue what we started the other day, the last time we were together. We were in our new series called The Plan of Salvation. And in that episode, we looked at John chapter 3, verses 1 through 21, as part of our introduction to lay the groundwork, to lay the foundation. And today, I want this to be a continuation of that introduction. So we're going to finish up our introduction today to this series, and then God willing tomorrow, which will be tomorrow evening. Just a reminder, tomorrow is Friday, and as you may or may not know, we will not have Your Daily Manna on Friday mornings anymore. So the next time you will hear from me for Your Daily Manna will be tomorrow evening for the start of the Sabbath. So, all right. Anyway, we talked about John chapter 3, verses 1 through 21, the last time we were together. And today I want to define a term. Today is just going to be a continuation of our introduction. I want to look at a particular term. And I mentioned the other day that we're going to be talking about some things that many people don't want to talk about these days. We live in a society where of course we have to be careful what we say, how we say it, concerning God, concerning religion. Many of us are not out here to offend people, to make people feel some type of way or, whatever. But yes, that's the society we live in. It is said, and it is true that people are calling right wrong and calling wrong right, if you know what I mean. So the term that I want to look at right now, again, we're setting the stage, we're laying the groundwork for this particular series called The Plan of Salvation, and that word is simply sin. It is sin. All right? And here's what the Bible says about sin. Of course, everything we look at comes from the Bible. The Bible says in 1 John 3, verse 4, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth, also the law. So what is sin? Basically, what's the definition of sin according to the Bible? Sin is the transgression of God's law, in a nutshell. So God has a fundamental, unchangeable, everlasting law, according to Psalm 111, verses 7 and 8, and the violation of that law is sin. So as I just said, sin is the transgression or the violation of God's law, and God's fundamental law is what? I think you might know the answer. God's fundamental law is the 10 Commandments. There are many who believe we don't have to keep the 10 Commandments anymore. That's Old Testament. That's been, it's been done away with. We're under the new covenant. The commandments don't mean anything anymore. But we're going to get deeper into this plan of salvation as it concerns God's law and the 10 Commandments and things of that nature as we move forward. So the Bible says in James 4 and 17, it says, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. So in a nutshell, if you know better, as the old saying goes, if you know better, you do better. Or if you know better, you should do better. But many people don't. So Again, the Bible says, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth not, to him it is sin. So if you know to do better and you don't do better as you should, then that's sin. Now, on the contrary, Romans 2:12 says, the only man who will not be held accountable for his wrongdoing is the man who does not know that he is sinning. So that's just a statement. Actually, that's a statement that is pointing to Romans 2:12. So the man or woman who does not know any better, they can't be held accountable. God will hold us accountable for the light that we have. We study his word, we listen to sermons, teachings, whatever. If we know better, as I said, if we know better, we should do better. We're going to be held accountable for what we know. The things that we don't know, as they say, as it's an old saying, which is true, God winks at. So the things that we don't know, we don't know any better, God winks. All right. But again, if we know better, God he holds us accountable. This is what Jesus said in John 9:41. If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth. So that kind of it does go along with what I just said about if you know better, you should do better. There's no excuse. You're being held accountable. If you don't know any better, then, you don't know any better and you're not held accountable. So as Jesus just said, in a nutshell, those that are blind have no sin. But if you say we see, or you see, therefore your sin remaineth. So all unrighteousness is sin. So here's the way John sums it up. He says all unrighteousness is sin. And I want to share one more Bible verse with you before we close for today. Matthew 13:15 says, in a nutshell, if we close our eyes that we may not see, our ears that we may not hear, then we shall be responsible for what we have known. Again, it just drives home the point of what I've been saying about if you know better, you should do better. God holds us accountable for what we know, not what we don't know, etc. So those are just some more Bible to back up the point that I'm making today about sin. So please join me tomorrow by God's grace for another edition of Your Daily Manna. Today is still the introduction, and tomorrow by God's grace will be part 1 as we get into the meat of this series called The Plan of Salvation. So until tomorrow, be blessed. Have a great Thursday. May the Lord be with you. This is Pastor Vince. Take care.